Today we planned 3 hours, but uh, it's to finish in 2.5 hours. We have to little rush to run to the next presentation. So we will show the timetable on the side of this Zoom. Uh, Campus Purpose Kim, do you show me the how to it works the time table shows now? Or first presentation, after first presentation is possible. You can show me now. Just okay.
I
So
think the presenter just share their own presentation file like this. Then from our side, we will share the timer application. So you can just click the application. Then you can see also this kind of pop-up window. And also you can see the sign, the 영어를 모르겠네. On the screen, this 보미 선생님 한번 해봐 주실래요?
지금 시도 중인데, 이 노트북 환경에서 잘 안 되는 것 같아서, 조금만 더 해보겠습니다. 잠시만요.
알겠습니다.
네.
Okay.
Mauro, ci siete? Mauro, ci siete?
So we like to
Sì, ci
use the
siamo.
timer application, but then no, it works. So
LA.
I asked my colleagues to run on the application. So the first team is on the screen from the Sasari University. Mauro, Roberto, David will present the first presentation. Our presentation, first side project 1 consists of 4 teams, and second project is also 4 teams, and last project has 3 teams. So let's start presentation from the first group and first team. Say hello to University Sasari.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Professor Kim shut the screen and okay. Hello, Mauro. Hello, David.
Are you ready?
Com'è che...
Just I will try
yes.
the timer.
Yes.
Okay, you are first case.
Okay.
We will try.
Yes.
So I will start the timer. Can you see the timer?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
And how can I share my screen?
Just you can share your screen.
How do I do it?
No, non vedi la condivisione?
No, non la vedo. Dove c'è scritto?
Scusa. Mauro? È in basso, è in basso.
Ah, ok, condividi. Sì, sì. Presentazione. Okay, now you see it.
Please stay on
Okay.
time.
Yeah,
Yes.
again.
I will be. Good morning. This presentation defines strategies to
Actually,
convert.
we cannot see the screen.
Can you see it?
Everyone
Can you
see
see
the screen?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay.
Okay. This presentation defines strategies to convert obvious structural vulnerabilities into operational opportunities, integrating environmental systems and historical heritage in a unified design approach. The territorial organization is based on generative environmental structures. The outer gulf connects to the inner gulf through a 360-meter wide strait. The alluvional plain acts as a hinge between land and sea, and the granite hill arc frames the system. These components interact to define constraints and opportunities for urban development. The hydrographic context presents distinct configuration. To the north, the Gulf of Cugnana receives the flows of the Maronzu, while the Cabuabas and San Nicola rivers cross the urban area with unstable fluvial dynamics. To the east, the Seligedu and Padronjanus, the latter with a drainage basin of 432 square kilometers, determine morphological processes in the external alluvional plain. This system is articulated in three complementary arcs. The coastal arc connects Cugnana to the southern Rayas. The hill arc contains urban expansion, and the Padronjanus River arc generates primary ecological corridors. Their synergy regulates fundamental hydrogeological exchanges. The functional interdependence shows measurable criticalities. The northern hills limit urban expansion, while the alluvional plain has significantly reduced flood attenuation capacity.
Can you indicate the areas? Sorry, Davide. Can you
Yes.
show us the area that you are speaking about?
Yes, I'm speaking about the northern hills of Olbia. Can you see the pointer? Okay. The northern hills that limit the expansion of Olbia, and we have the alluvional plain and also a southern arc down. Olbia develops within this complex environmental system where hydrographic configuration and generative structures determine both opportunities and constraints for urban development. The city constantly interacts with the gulfs, watercourses, and hill arc in a dialectical relationship that has shaped its historical evolution and conditions in its future prospects. It is necessary to reconnect the cheapness industrial zone to the Gulf of Cugnana. The 715 hectare industrial area currently operates as an autonomous enclave, and the reconnection requires using fragmented road axes and activating underdeveloped lots to create ecological corridors toward the waterfront. The design scenario transforms the relationship between the historical port and Isola Bianca into a functional continuum, redeveloping the seaside promenade as a multifunctional interface. The goal is to convert the coastal strip from an infrastructural barrier to an integrated relational space. The underdeveloped lots between Cheapness and the Gulf of Cunana constitute essential mediation spaces to overcome the scale gap between industrial warehouses and the residential fabric. These areas will host worker dormitories and low-density housing, simultaneously integrating water reconnection ecological corridors. The historical presence in these areas is documented by evidence such as the Belvedere nuraghe, currently overshadowed by a road artery. This situation highlights the need to restore the relationship between archaeological artifacts and the territorial context. Additional historical elements, such as the Nuragic sacred well, the aqueduct, and the Roman cistern, constitute active design constraints. These remains from the framework for archaeological environmental paths act as regulators of urban development. The industrial area has specific vulnerabilities, physical and ecological separation from the city, road fragmentation, and the lack of public spaces. To address these issues, the first operational phase plans to use free lots to build worker dormitories exempt from urban planning charges and proximity services for industrial operators applying social housing standards. The Port City Nexus requires integrated interventions, redevelopment of disused areas, creation of green buffer strips along the road axis, and the management of passenger and goods flows. Meanwhile, archaeological and environmental integration develops through thematic routes along historical axis, with a sustainable drainage system connected to the remains and protective buffers for archaeological sites. In conclusion, the project transforms vulnerabilities into drivers of urban reorganization, elevating historical elements to regulatory cultural infrastructure. Okay, I'm on time.
Yes,
Thank you.
very much. You're on time. Thank you very
I
much.
had to rush through the last slides. Okay.
I know that the tutors professors wants to comment on your idea, but to save the time, today we planned all 14 is a presentation over, then we'll give you some comment. Please wait till the other team, 3 team is finished. Okay, I'll
Thank you.
move to the second team. Thank you very much. The second team is from Teubin. Teubin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. So Sara, RADO, and Selin, KOYMEN.
Yes.
Okay. Who will present?
Sara will share our screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how to set the time now. First team is over. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So now it's started. Let's
Yes.
please give.
Good morning, everybody. We're Selin and Sara, as you can already see us on our presentation as well. And today we have the great pleasure of talking to you about our first ideas and concepts regarding the Costa Smeralda, the city of Olbia. And of course, our first step, our project C4, is located in the industrial area of Olbia, meaning project site number 1. And of course, our first step was to analyze the area. Yes, and just see what we have and what we can use, and we quickly realize that there's a lot of unused space and abandoned buildings. And this is exactly where we see maybe potential risks, but also a great opportunity. And we want to convert the functions and the use of those unused settlements all while respecting the industrial area's heritage and opening it up to the public. But what do we have in mind exactly? One of the first things that were important to us was to create a bridge between the local goods and the potential of the many visitors of Olbia, meaning we want to design places where production, exchange, and culture kind of intersect or create a synergy. And the abandoned areas will be converted into open market halls that host like a dynamic mix of local crafts, food products, and market spaces. And we want to support local vendors, for example, Sardo Famachi. And we want to give local artists also the opportunity to share their work with the world, creating temporary art installations or art galleries. And education is also, of course, important, as we all know. And that's why we want to create a marine research school of the local area and facilities for students. And that's exactly what C4 also stands for, meaning converting abandoned areas, connecting different parts of the city, and all of that while strengthening the community and the culture. And you can see our vision right here as well. We have the local vendors and the public, and all of that kind of mixed together, creating this synergy in the old industrial area of Olbia. And how do we plan on doing all of this? We researched the local materials and we wanted to incorporate them into our design. And like I mentioned earlier, we wanted to create a marine research school. And that would be not only the perfect learning environment for students, but also produce essential goods for us. Because we want to use the mussels, or more precisely the shells of the mussels, and we want to grind them into a very fine powder and that you can mix into, for example, wall plaster, creating a more robust working material. And local chestnut from the area can be used for temporary art installations or market stands. And the granite will be used for new buildings that we plan that last a longer time.
But what do we mean by that exactly? Selected buildings will house a marine biology school and marine research facilities that will create a direct link between education, science, and the surrounding marine environment. These programs will foster collaborations between researchers, students, and the community while activating the waterfront through the knowledge-based uses. To enhance public access to the waterfront, new piers and floating platforms will be introduced. These structures will include seating areas, sailing schools, and flexible event spaces that float directly on the water, creating immersive and interactive experiences. This layered approach transforms a once industrial edge into a vibrant, inclusive, and sustainable public realm for the residents, students, and visitors alike. As if that wasn't enough, we also have developed a concept for the visual transformation of the industrial buildings in the area. Food market and temporary galleries will enrich the area while creating a beautiful synergy of local culture and visitors. Inspired by the Soho district in Malaga, Spain, where the Mouse project revitalized the neighborhood through art, we propose a similar approach in Sydney. The Mouse project allowed artists to create large-scale paintings on building walls, transforming the neighborhood into an open-air art gallery. In Olbia, this tragedy will bring color and identity vibrance to otherwise overlooked industrial structures, engaging the local community and attracting more people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. You saved some time. Okay, the Wien team showed their ideas. Okay, I move to the. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I move to the third team from Kyushu University, NAKAO, SAITO, and Ito-san.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it is better now. So Professor Kim will start. Then you can start your presentation.
afternoon,
Now
everyone.
on.
We will begin our presentation. We are Team A from Kyushu University, and our target site is Site 1. Next. Our site name is Shipness Galura. Originally, Shipness Galura functioned primarily to attract business and provided land and infrastructure. Today, it operates as an industrial district in the Olbia area, hosting over 500 small and medium-sized enterprises. Currently, it serves as a regional platform for digital, green, and smart industries, forming the core of sustainable regional economy in Olbia. Next slide. We will explain the historical transform of Shipness Galura from 1954 to 2013. In 1954, the site was largely undeveloped, consisting of rural and natural areas with no industrial infrastructure. In 1968, the planning for the industrial zone began, and the area started to undergo land development and infrastructure preparation. By 1977, the site had entered its operational phase and began to establish itself as a major industrial zone in the north part of Olbia. In 2013, Shipness Galura was functioning as a developed industrial and logistics hub, forming a diverse industrial cluster, including tourism, maritime logistics, and food processing. Next. We will talk about the land use distribution of the area. The blue zone along the coastline represents the economic and developmental core of this region. Next. Based on this research, from this photograph, we found that only 3 main roads connect the western residential area to the industrial zone, and 2 of them are very narrow. Next. Based on this research, we defined 2 main goals for our project. The first goal is to propose a coastal master plan for the industrial area. The second goal is to propose specific projects that integrate urban and industrial functions. Next.
We analyzed the current land use by studying Google Maps. In the coastal area, a large shipyard is quite clearly visible. In the inland area, we found businesses such as car repair shops, offices for building materials, metal product manufacturers, and industrial equipment companies. In the center of the map, large-scale commercial facilities such as big-sized supermarket and shops operated by international companies are concentrated. On the northwestern side, there's a residential zone accessible directly from the city. This area includes local amenities like a restaurant and clothing store. Again, this red circle indicates the entrance to the industrial area. The second entrance functions as the main gateway into the district. So our proposal is to connect a new pedestrian and cycling path from the port, which is located in the urban area, to the coastal zone of the industrial area, which is currently developing an innovative and industrial international hub. We aim to convert vacant space along this route into the parks and public use buildings. These roads are currently for the cars, but we plan to revitalize it as a human-centered corridor. In the second phase, we plan to expand this system toward the inland areas to create a wider accessible network. One of our references is the riverfront with development in Shanghai introduced in the lecture. We were inspired by its continuous walking paths and evenly spaced public architecture along the river. And this is U2 in Onomichi, Hiroshima in Japan. This building was originally a warehouse in the coastal industrial area, and it has been successfully renovated into a hotel and retail shops. It's also integrating a bicycle lane into the district and inside the buildings. That's all our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for Kyushu team. And I move the last team of Project 1 from Busan National University. So, Liu, Hyung-koo, Hwang, when you are ready, we'll count on the time. So you share the screen. Okay, we can see only half of your screen. Yeah, not perfect, I think. Yes, thank you.
Hello everyone, we are from PMU and our project addresses, as you know, the theme, the northern shore of the inner Gulf, focusing on the integration of industrial space and urban life in Obia. First one, before starting our analysis, we reviewed the site's development history based on materials provided by the organizers. In 1963, the Nucleo di Industrializzazione di Ovia was established, focusing on providing land, buildings, and infrastructure for business. This helped position Ovia as a key driver of industrial and economic growth in northeastern Sardinia. In 2023, about 150 hectares were designed as a special economic zone, offering tax benefits and administrative support to boost the blue economy, such as shipbuilding and logistics and fishing. In 2024, the site began transforming into an innovation hub, emphasizing research, startups, and academic collaboration. And in 2025, efforts to revitalize the Geo-Village area began, aiming to strengthen urban and educational assets. Currently, Obia is evolving into a sustainable green city through digitalization and circular economic practices and renewable energy. This historical context guided the way we approached our site analysis. And the geographical and climate analysis. First one is photography. The southern part of the site is composed of wetlands and coastline, while the northeastern area is surrounded by hills and mountains terrain. From this, we analyzed two key environment issues. First one is wind-driven pollutant dispersion. Pollutants generated in industrial area could spread for long due to prevailing northwesterly winds. However, the ridge line, this one, shown in the diagram acts as a natural barrier and helping reduce the spread. And second, flood hazard. The red mark shown on our diagram indicate areas potentially submerged by 2050, while the industrial area overall has a relatively low flood risk. The eastern drainage corridor requires improved runoff management. Industrial facilities, which often contain high value and immovable equipment, need elevated foundations, ring drainage system, and protective embankments. And third one is land use and site observation. The site is largely composed of industrial and commercial land and large-scale service facilities suitable for development as logistic hubs. Residential area were found in the southwest and scattered further up the northeast. Observation via Google Earth revealed a lack of walkable infrastructure and many unorganized, undeveloped zones, indicating the need for spatial reorganization. And fifth one is transportation analysis. For tourists and residents to assess the sites, transportation is crucial. The light blue line is the only north-south arterial road and serves as the main logic route. This kind of all color means industrial load, and also resident people can use this road. And this one is this southern west area. This region is traffic jam zones because there's an only way resident people can move to an industrial area. The western zone shows high potential for connecting residential and industrial area. By creating a series of parallel corridors, we can link both zones more effectively. The eastern zone sits between mountain landscapes and industrial buildings. The coastal view are currently blocked by facilities. Some points, especially near the ridge lines, still offer sea views. These can be enhanced through landscape design. And this one is cultural heritage. Ovia is not just an industrial and logistic hub. It holds rich archaeological and historical heritage spanning thousands of years. Our goal is to revitalize Ovia as a highway city where history, nature, and industry coexist. And this one is our potential space. Among the site's most underused yet promising elements is the water corridor, marked in this blue circle. This channel stretches from the sea to the mountains, connecting the resident, green, and industrial area. Much like Cheonggyecheon in Seoul, it has the potential to become a vibrant public space and green infrastructure spine. So we identified four major problems at the site. First one is coastal flood risk, lack of green buffer between the coasts and factories. And second one is chaotic industrial layout, unorganized and dense factory distribution. And third one is lack of amenities, few service facilities for residents and workers. And last one is traffic and zoning programs. So limited roads and high congestion, the need for redesign to improve everyday mobility and connectivity. So these insights will serve as the foundation for our design proposal. We aim to explore strategies that enhance the connectivity, livability, and sustainability, transforming the northern shore of the inner Gulf into a more resilient and inclusive urban and industrial landscape. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Han. So every 14 years presentation was over. First of all, we are very happy to meet all of you, Project One teams, Uni Sasari, Teobin, Kyushu, Busan. Now we have a short time for the tutors and professors generally given comment on 4 teams. I think each team's approach is very different, and analysis method is also very different. So I would like to ask Professor Silvia Sarelli to first.
Okay, hello everyone. Congratulations to the students because they are on time and also very clear. And particularly comment to the ability to analyze in a very short time the cheapness area. And so when you have a lot of documents, sometimes you can be lost, but you were able to synthesize all the documents in a very good analysis. So the 4 groups are different, but in the same time, there are a connection between the strategies, but the strategies for me are so clear. My students, my young colleagues, works on the environmental strategies of the area, and they analyze we say matrix, environmental and historical matrix of the city. So the scale, the territorial scale is our approach. So they underline the constraint that environmental components give to the project. And so in this first part, they show us some vulnerabilities, and I'm sure they project working with this particular area that open the cheapness area to their environmental historical context. So they particularly appreciation to the representation also that highlight the morphology and the places that are very important for cheapness future area, also relating to the residential area. Vienna groups is a cultural approach. The first is an environmental approach, the cultural approach, and also the proposal is a very important possible evolution for a cheapness area, also meeting arts and territory, arts and landscape. So I particularly appreciate this approach, and also the opportunity that you can you select from the context, also with an highlight to the use of local materials. I was in Venice, and I noticed that the approach of the different architects, for example, was to use natural materials. There was an example with oysters, materials that can be transformed in a brick to build something. So the use of local materials is a good idea also, because in this industrial area can be located some laboratories for that, and some of them existed just now, and so to mix urban context, also using art like perspective could be an important strategies for a cheapness area. And the immersive experience, you highlight a small project involving the island. I have a doubt from this. I really appreciate also the design, but sometimes this small island is the unique island that was preserved, and also involving them with the port could be, I have a doubt from this point of view, but I'm sure that with some expert we can also have the opportunity to discuss about this utopia. And but I really love it. But from the environmental point of view, could be a little bit could be a problematic approach if we connect the environmental place like the small island has in the past. We did it. We made some port involving. If you look to the south part of the Gulf. So here we need to preserve more the environment, the environmental components of the Gulf, and related to the colleague from Kyushu, I don't know the pronunciation. Very good analysis, and also the focus on
Kyushu is a pronunciation.
Kyushu. I'm sure that
Kyushu.
I learn. Kyushu. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm sure that the analysis is very, very appropriate with the historical evolution of the area. Also, starting with the 50 and related, and also relating to the current period. Very important strategies is to reduce the scale of the industrial area to the smaller architectural scale and area. So this is an important strategies that as Cheapness try to promote in the different approach and project, and good exploration also of the classification of the area. I'm really surprised of it, and sure, the proposal is an important proposal to connect this area and also to work on that part of the site related to the coastal area, because they need to transform this area in an urban area, and not just in a new business part. Or the business part can be related to the walking path, or some services and public furniture for people who really want to reuse this side of the Gulf. And also Pusan University did a very important analysis with the process of development of the Sipness area, and studying some particular vulnerabilities like pollution, flood hazard, and spatial mobility and traffic analysis. So this can be related to the last group, to the Japanese group, because we need to reduce the scale and the scale of the area, of the industrial area, and the traffic is an important so traffic and mobility is an important issue for Cheapness, and so the focus on the accessibility is so important for also transform some places. As you know, we will be in this area with a Geo Village, so you can have a very good idea of the needs to connect urban activities and industrial and business activities. So the 4 points that you underline are very, very strategic. So many issues, but good strategies for each group. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. So all the teams maybe wanted to hear from your opinion first. Okay, today and presentation on Wednesday helps all the teams set the direction of planning. Please help the students and give them some direction. If the other tutor or professors have an idea on 4 teams, please. we have a so maybe can I ask Professor Maladin Yatrit to have a somewhere?
Yeah, thank you. Also, I would also underlay that it is very important to have one strong idea behind the thing. So we saw today several concepts which are very much different in a scale. The majority of them is somehow going into the very big scale, which is, I think, very legitimate. Also, in order to understand how the city grows, so where is the primary unit, how they developed, in which direction. Maybe we can understand somehow of logic of this process, why city is growing in certain directions, why not in other one. What I would maybe suggest to all of the groups is to work with sections. I think they're very necessary for the all urban planning issues. So it doesn't matter if you are trying to understand the contact between the sea and the continental area, or you're just making the images of the artificial river, which is supposed to be a link between the sides, or even if you are working in acupuncture, actually in a single factory building, how you're planning to reform this building into something else. This is somehow the technique you cannot avoid. This is probably the one of the most important tools which have to be somehow included in all of this works. Yeah, I think it's a very very interesting that also all of you somehow dealing also with the process. This is none of you said that everything is going to take part overnight, but somehow this is supposed to be processed. But it will be interesting to show this process, to make it, let's say, visible. Where did it started? When is the end? Is it one building after another who changed the facilities in transforming into something else? Or where should we start with, let's say, artificial river or let's say, transformation of the coastal area? I like also very much this, and I think it's always very important to think about public space. There is a big question as to where this public space is supposed to be positioned. Is it in the front of the sea to somehow preserve and save this area for the like a commons, or is it necessary to put it in a background in the way that even let's say places further away from the water supposed to be let's say turn into something more interesting than now? Because if you're only treating the coastal area, which is of course is a desire of all architects, it's somehow I have a fear that the things happening in the background are not to be treated as well. Yeah. So maybe just for now. Yeah, so Renzo, I think, wanted to add something. Please.
Silvia, se mi traduci sarebbe opportuno. Sarò brevissimo. Quello che è emerso intanto è una grande capacità di analisi, e quindi questo devo dire che è una cosa molto positiva da chi guarda da fuori, no? Leggendo i documenti, ma soprattutto via Maps. Però io credo che va detto, secondo me, che in questa prima fase deve uscire anche un'idea di città. Cioè, qual è l'idea portante, al di là dell'intervento, no? Che può essere un intervento progettuale interessante, di riuso, anche di sguardo sulle cose, i nuraghe, diciamo, tutto quello che riguarda il patrimonio, ma quello che a mio avviso potrebbe essere utile, soprattutto per dare un contributo, no? Perché il nostro è un contributo che vogliamo dare alla città, è quale idea noi crediamo possa essere oggetto del nostro lavoro in un luogo così complesso, infrastrutture, città industriale, eccetera. Quindi questo è uno sforzo che io credo che si debba fare per rispondere anche non soltanto dal punto di vista, diciamo, del progetto di architettura, ma per rispondere dal punto di vista della strategia, ma anche della visione. Silvia, sono stato breve?
Mai mi ha assunto come, come traduttore. I'm not a translator, but I try to summarize
Ma tu
as
sei la
usual.
migliore traduttrice, perché tu ci metti il
Absolutely.
tuo, perché poi tu lo cambi con le tue cose.
I totally change your. No, I agree with you. So he very compliments to you, to all students for the analysis. The analysis and is a part of the project, I'm sure. It's raining a lot in Rome, so sorry, I'm surprised. In this moment, after this analysis, Renzo suggests to focus on a vision of the city, because we are working in a complex area in which industrial, residential, touristic aspect involve the city of Olbia. So now the suggestion is not just to focus on the singular action, transformation, but just to start to have a good idea, one idea for these areas, and because we need to give to contribute in some way to the future of this city. So to explain our project, we need to have this clear idea. So I think the suggestion is also for the next step on the 31st, focus on this, also with the project, but the idea has to be clear. Io penso di aver tradotto.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if our colleague Gianfranco wants also in Italian, can translate.
Ah,
I don't know, because Gianfranco was busy. Gianfranco?
okay.
Okay, next, if perhaps is busy, but also trying to participate to the next application.
Okay, I would like to ask the next is Professor Aitani. You have some comments on them? Or Professor Kim first? So,
Oh, yeah.
okay, Professor Lawrence Kim, do you have
Silvia,
some
mi
comments?
senti?
Okay.
Gianfranco is connected.
Mi
Sì,
senti? Silvia?
sì, non ti vediamo, però ti sentiamo. Ok.
Un po' di problemi.
Oops.
Aspetta.
Yes.
Ok.
Ah, ok, Gianfranco.
Good morning.
Ok, come Renzo.
Sì, ho seguito con attenzione i ragazzi, insomma. Allora, l'approccio è interessante, devo dire, viste le difficoltà del tema, è da apprezzare anche insomma, l'impegno e la capacità di sintesi, di venire in un certo senso a capo. Sono sì, un po' d'accordo con Renzo quando dice che bisogna però, voglio dire, utilizzare tutte le energie possibili per immaginarsi un possibile futuro per questa città. E quindi indirizzare, diciamo, la ricerca del progetto verso alcuni scenari che possono essere compatibili con diciamo, con quello che il testo urbano e territoriale ci propone. Quindi avere meno paura, cioè cercare per quanto è possibile di staccarsi, diciamo, dalla lettura esclusivamente analitica e iniziare a proiettarsi verso, diciamo, possibili immagini progettuali. Poi, per carità, si può anche sbagliare, ma dobbiamo avere il coraggio di iniziare a proiettare qualche futuro possibile. tenendo conto del fatto che la città non è solo una città turistica, giustamente, non è solo una città fortemente infrastrutturata, ma è una città come tutte le città del mondo che presenta tutti questi aspetti, tutta questa complessità. E quindi questa complessità tutti questi elementi che fanno parte di questa complessità devono tra loro convivere e far emergere però un'immagine di città che abbia diciamo, una certa, come dire, che sia appropriata al contesto sia urbano che territoriale che ci troviamo di fronte.
Okay.
Dai Silvia, fai uno sforzo.
So, same idea of Renzo, my colleague Renzo. So also Gianfranco underlined your ability to synthesize all the analysis of the area, and but he pressed you for next. Was an important moment for the analysis, but now also Gianfranco pressed you to think to the future of the city. Is not just a touristic city, is not just an infrastructural city, but is a city who needs strong ideas. And so please, for Gianfranco, it's important to make clear this idea. 1-2 strategies. On bracket, I think you have some strategies, and you have also highlighted just now the strategies, your strategies. But perhaps it be more clear as a strategy for the city. And after in your area, you are transforming this general idea in a project. So he suggests to design some scenarios, not to be afraid about the possibility to analyze every part of this area, but just to select, to highlight the layer of your project, and to be courageous, so not to be afraid about the complexity and the idea not to have all the elements to project. I transform the speech of Gianfranco, but in synthesis, he highlight this point. Okay, we are on time for the other professor, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Gianfranco Sana, for your comment. And today, if possible, we would like to give advice for the students as much as possible. So from the tutor side also, Prof. Lawrence Kim, Koichiro Aitani, Professor Himeno, if you have also something to comment, please give us students.
Okay,
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay,
Ah.
please.
No.
Yeah,
So
please,
all of
Mr.
three.
Aitani,
I will give you all
Professor
time.
Aitani,
Don't
please.
worry.
Sorry, I was eating, so I couldn't speak the last time you mentioned. Our hotel or accommodation is in the group, the site area 1. So I was looking at how we're gonna have 10 days in there, and particularly the Italy. Sorry, maybe it's not related to the workshop much, but for the daily life, the restaurant is quite important for the visitors. And I was searching the restaurants in the area, but only 2 or 3 are there, and it's quite a large area. So maybe to make that area attractive, also livable, maybe a lot of restaurants, bars, some cafeteria may be needed. And particularly I never been, so I don't have any imagination, but I assume it's an island, so that the coastal side could be attractive. But your proposal were not mentioning about the coastal development. The streets are kind of setback from the water line, so maybe how to activate that waterfront could be needed for this development. Maybe not only the group 1 or site 1, site 2, site 3 should be activating the waterfront. Oh. That was my
That doesn't matter.
my concern.
Okay, thank you very much. From Professor Himeno, do you have a comment?
Yes. Thank you for student for your presentations, because I think it's a little bit hard work for you in a very short time, including weekend. But all students were prepared, I believe. So, and I think there were many hints in each presentation also. The first one is analyze the characteristics of the area from the geographical features, and not only the facilities, geographic features, and for the area, and had to and they tried to considering about this kind of topographical features and so on. And the second, the analyzing the transportation system, especially the Busan National University. So this kind of analysis is very important, how to revitalize the special area. So this kind of is really good. And the third one is the research that utilize the surrounding the facilities, including the historical elements and the local materials also. So this idea is very good, and I strongly agree with the student ideas. So, but in other hand, I think that it seems that some teams were not clear about which space is the effective or the effective. Had to mention the effective, effective, or the what kind of the space, the sports, or the element is effective to revitalize the industrial area, the decline in the industrial area. This kind of thing is very important. So I think it's if I have some give the new idea for the student. So the first as begin the first step, I think what kind of had so what sorry, defining the key elements or the key spots, for regeneration of the industrial area. So, and the secondary, you have, or I should, sorry, you should think about what kind of plan or the function very effective to develop in each spaces that you selected. So, and at that time, I think the function is very important because I listening about the Professor Aitani idea. Also, the what kind of function is effective or not. So the restaurant, the residence, including the accommodation. So this is very important too. And maybe the focus site or the target site is industrial area, but we think about more the thinking is important to use how to connect to the sea side or the shoreline. This is very important, I think. It's okay. This is my idea.
Thank you very much. Maybe
Sorry, I'm not so good
that
for. Okay.
you have a connection problem.
Really? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No. I
Even
think
to me?
I
Maybe.
think Professor Chong sort of
Okay.
frozen now.
Sorry. Oh, thank you,
I
Professor
think
Kim.
we hear very well. So
Oh, okay, good. I really worry about it.
I'm sorry. I had a connection problem. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fine. Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Imano. Finally, I'd like to ask Professor Lawrence Kim. Your mic is up, I think.
Okay. I think it's 6:05 and we were already running late, so I'll make this very, very quick. Maybe I speak for about a minute. My general sort of the feeling is that all the teams I think were a little too quick to come up with a proposal. I would like to see more thorough analysis, more thorough studies before coming up with a solution that you're proposing. Two things I suggest. The main aim of the project one is to connect the industry area to the rest of the city. And before you come up with any proposal, I think you need to think about what makes the industry area different or special. And if you're gonna think about or investigate what makes the industry area special or different, you also need to look at adjacent areas like a residential area to the west, and you have the ocean on the south, and you have a hill on the east side. If you industry area, if you look at it, if you look at the plot plan, it has a very different building scale. It also has a very different urban scale compared to the residential area. Residential area is much more denser. Buildings are smaller, and with the industrial area, buildings are bigger. You have lot of larger open spaces. And what I'm getting at is that when you are doing a project of this scale, you need to approach it in multiple scale. You need to look at it and think about it in urban scale, and then you need to think about it and study it in building scale. And you also need to think about it and investigate it in human scale. But what is most important is that you're proposing something for people, right? So ultimately, you should be thinking about this in human scale. I had a quick session yesterday morning with our university team, students, and one thing I told them was that I told them to draw a section, and that's something that Professor Jadvik also mentioned, because that students, what they're doing is they're looking at this site. They're looking at it from the satellite map. They're looking at it in a gigantic scale, as if you're flying, 2 miles above the air. But that's looking at it very two-dimensionally. And I suggest you cut sections across the site, across the city, and you also cut sections much smaller scale, at a building scale, and you cut sections and at a human scale. And think about how the scale varies, how the density varies, how the character of the urban spaces changes from one area to the other. And I also suggest one of the team that investigate the flood area, which zones are flooded, because that's going to be very important. And I said I'm going to speak for a minute, but I think I sort of ran out. So think about the scale, draw some sections, and do a thorough analysis before you come up with the proposal. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kim. And so, very good. We only 7 minutes delayed. So let's move to the right away to the second project. Project 2 is consists of also 4 teams. The presentation is also set as first is the University Sasari, Daeubin, Oita, Tongju University. So if the Sasari team is ready, let's share the screen and start your presentation. Sasari, this member is
Palermo is the first group
I'm
for
sorry.
project 2.
Palermo.
Hello, we are ready.
Okay,
I
start
can
your.
share. Okay. Okay. It's okay? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Cristiana, and I represent the group for University of Palermo, composed of me, Giulia, Simona, and Andrea, with Professor Lecardane and architect Niazzo Verentino. First of all, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to take part in this workshop. Our work starts from a very simple but essential need to truly understand the place we are working in. That's why our first step was to immerse ourselves in the reality of Olbia. Not just a coastal city in Sardinia, but a complex landscape where natural, culture, and historical elements constantly overlap and interact. We studied the climate, the ecosystem, the local flora and fauna, but also the social life, the tradition, the cultural identity of this place. Yet it is precisely within this unstable balance that we recognize the interpretive potential offered by Andrea Corbett. With his idea of the territory as a palimpsest, a space that is never definitive, but in constantly written over the time, and where the past is still visible alongside the present, and each period leaves its mark, creating a layered mix of architectural, urban, and cultural elements that show the city history and how it has changed over time. In our case, this stratification is quite clear. On one side, we have the Narag, and the other element is the bridge built at the end of 1970, or for example, the Michelucci Theater, which represent a more recent but incomplete modernity. We choose they represent this connection as a third space, the white triangle from cognitive psychology. This reading leads us to explore the trough of Angers and his project, The City in the City Developed, in the second time by Rem Koolhaas. The Berlin model inspired us to interpret Olbia, not as a compact city, but as our archipelago of distinct identities. Where each part has its own function, memory, and also the potential. We then transformed the idea of urban archipelago into a territory archipelago, where the city becomes a constellation of activity, potential, and autonomous space. We need a reference. For this reason, we created a postcard recent, a real case studios that helped us expand our imagination. This studio allowed us to explore language, solution, and atmosphere from different contexts, and all sharing a strong link between the architecture, landscape, and perception. An example is Jean Nouvel Art Plage, which already in 2002 questioned the ambiguous boundary between the natural and artificial, creating a landscape that challenged perception in technological area. In this sense, the grid we overlaid on the city map was not just an analytical tool, but a method to activate a new interpretation and identify the area where we wanted to intervene. This approach allowed us to select what we call emblematic building, key location that are strategic nodes for the city. For example, the school, the public facility, the open space, the square, the waterfront, the theater, and the ecological sensitive zone. In our final selection, we chose to include only the elements we believe can truly contribute to our vision. For example, the Fabrizio De Andrea School, the primary school on Via Re di Puglia, or the Michelucci Theater, the tourist port, and also things. And we then carried the deep analysis of the weakness and the potential of our area. Among the weakness, hydrological risk, coastal erosion, water pollution, and the tourism pressure. Among the opportunity, the natural reserve, the bird watching, the Michelucci Theater, and well as a green space. We also re-examined the catalog of intervention by Professor Machocco, which we studied and expanded. We kept some of the original strategy, like the floating bridge, the wrapping of the pier, and the floating breakwater pier. To this, we added 2 new project devices designed to enhance the environment and promote a slow sustainable of the space. The watchtower for observing bird and spaces and supporting the activity of bird watching, and the walk and the bike paths. Okay. At the end of our work, we asked ourselves 2 fundamental questions. What do we want to do, and how do we want to do it? Our idea is to intervene without consuming new land, to reuse already exist, to safeguard the natural reserve and the protect area, and to promote the conscious and sustainable tourism that respects the rhythm of nature and the form of the landscape. We believe in promoting and making the reserve accessible for residents, tourists, and animals, and we believe in a life with the harmony and synergical energy relationship between the human and the nature. A project that does not aim to build more, but rather to revive what already exists, to protect it and make it visible. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Cristiana. And Giulia is also online. Okay, thank you very much for Paladin team. And second is from Wien, Alexandra, Leah, Anna. 3 team, 3 members is ready. Then okay, thank you
Hello
very much.
from Vienna. We are Annie, Alex, and Leah, and we are the second team of our TU Vienna group.
Nice to meet you
And
again, Leah.
I
Start you.
hope yes, our concept proposal is called Olbia Overlay, and it also focuses on the southern shore of the inner Gulf. Okay, and that means it's about the area surrounding the Parujano River and the adjacent neighborhoods of Poltuquado and Sacra Familia. And our goal is to transform this region into an attractive, accessible, and inclusive urban environment that is both ecologically and socially sustainable. And first of all, we analyzed the area with a focus on pedestrian and cyclists. And we also used the reports you kindly provided us with. and there are some historical sites along Olbia and the coast, especially those in the north, are not really accessible and close to the street, so it's quite hard to distinguish them as something of historical importance. However, in the southern part of the port, there's also already a promenade with pedestrian and cycling routes, landmarks, and viewpoints. But this area comes to an abrupt end, and that's especially problematic for cyclists who are looking for a continuous cycling route through Olbia. To summarize these problems and the potential that arises through them, we recognized that there is a lack of pedestrian and cycling routes, and furthermore, the public spaces, especially for young people in our age, is limited, and the civic engagement in general is still quite weak. Regarding the cultural facilities, there are already some events like the Red Valley Festival and the Tabulara Film Festival. However, there is not really a year-round cultural program, and a strong cultural attractor like the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao is missing. And so based on these aspects, our goal is to enhance the accessibility and the mobility of the region, but also to create year-round cultural vibrancy and to preserve the historical and environmental characteristics of the area. So our main intervention of our concept is an elevated pathway throughout the Olbia's coastline and the riverside, an observation tower, and modular elevated houses. And looking at the site plan, it becomes evident that we want to connect our intervention with the existing developed promenade along the coast. The tower should be located on an island to highlight the nature, and the housing project is located along the Padrojanu riverside, so it kind of creates a bridge between the two neighborhoods in Olbia.
The
Alex?
design celebrates the unique biodiversity of Olbia's coastal and inland ecosystems. Along the path, visitors encounter native plants such as lavender and the iconic olive tree. These plants are not only adapted to the Mediterranean climate, but also hold a strong cultural and ecological significance. The fauna is equally important. The presence of flamingos in the wetlands and the seagulls and cormorants in the coast area reflect the coexistence of nature and the urban life. By embedding this flora and fauna, we want the project to invite the user to rediscover the local identity through ecological awareness.
As already mentioned, the project centers around a stilted path that leads through the diverse landscapes of Olbia, from coastline to river to historic sites. The path not only provides physical access, but also frames how visitors perceive the landscape. It allows for movement without disruption, raised above the terrain to protect the local ecosystem. We have divided the routes into 3 thematic sections. The first one is the sea walk, which runs along the coast and leads to the observation tower. The second is the river walk, which meanders through the wetland zones, featuring native plants and direct stairs access the ground. Lastly, the historic walk passes archaeological sites supported by information panels and interactive elements. The entire structure is built from local materials and offers spots to sit, pause, and take in the surrounding environment, creating a rhythm between movement and stillness. The observation tower is located along the coastal path. It rises slightly above the landscape and serves as a visual and symbolic anchor for the project. Like the path, the tower is also constructed from local materials in order to blend into the site's character while also standing out as a clear landmark. From its platform, visitors can take in panoramic views of the sea, the wetlands, and the nearby excavation zones. The tower provides a moment to stop and get an overview of the area, useful for orientation and attractive for visitors. Its shape should also make it a recognizable point in the landscape and help structure the site visually. Overall, the tower serves both as practical and symbolic role. It completes the path, offers visibility, and enhances the visitor's experience. Within the park landscape, a series of small, lightweight houses are placed on stilts, gently positioned among trees and open spaces. These structures are built from local, sustainable materials and are fully modular and reversible. Their temporary nature allows them to adapt different uses, seasons, and needs without permanently altering the site. The houses serve at various functions. Some are used as temporary housing, others as exhibition pavilions, or for visitors. This mix of uses supports tourism, education, and community activities. Their elevated construction protects the natural ground layer and allows vegetation and wildlife to remain undisturbed beneath them. Instead of separating people from nature, we wanted the houses to encourage a direct but respectful interaction with the environment. As part of the overall project, they represent a different approach to building, one that is light, flexible, and closely connected to place.
The material is rooted in local culture and construction traditions. The primary materials are Gallura granite, cork, and juniper or chestnut wood. They are regional sourced and have long histories of use in Sardinia's architecture. I think we have not enough time, but this project envisions a gentle yet transformative intervention in Olbia's landscape. The elevated path becomes a connecting line, physically linking fragmented zones and ecological bridging land and water, history and future, nature and community. Overall, the proposal introduces an urban infrastructure that is light, adaptive, and deeply tied to the context, encouraging a slower and more sensitive way of experiencing the territory. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Because I interrupted 10 minutes at the beginning, so time was perfect actually. Okay. I'll move to the second team. So the team from Oita University. Oita University, 5 students is participating. Unfortunately, only 2, Kondo and Baba, will come to the Olbia. I think a presentation is ready by the Mr. Baba. If you are ready, so please share your screen and start your presentation. Okay, we can see the
Yeah, I'll give it the presentation. Okay, hello, we are students at Oita University. We will be presenting on project 2. The first is the site analysis. Figure 1 shows the target area for project 2. The target area was divided into 4 areas based on the characteristics of each area. There are many accommodations and restaurants in the red area. Therefore, we consider the red area to be the main choice area. Next, there are many residences in the orange area. So we consider the orange area to be the residential area. Next, there are ports, stations, and airports in the blue area. Therefore, we consider the blue area to be the transportation area. Next, there are many natural features such as trees and bushes in the green area. Therefore, we consider the green area to be the natural area. In addition, the red arrows in the figure indicate tourist traffic flow, while the orange arrows indicate resident traffic flow. There are many roads that are difficult for tourists to walk on, so it is expected that people will often use cards to move between each area. Based on these findings, we considered 4 issues facing the target area. The first is that the distance from the airport to the tourist area is far, and there are no tourist attractions along the way. The second is that natural area is not being utilized effectively. The third is the connection between the northern area and the southern area has been lost due to the station. The last is that there are no landmark buildings.
Based on these considerations, we offer the following suggestion. The title is N. N has 2 meanings in Japanese. One is circle. The other is an encounter or relationship between people. Modern society has become much more convenient with the evolution of technology. On the other hand, the spread of social networking services and advancement of car society have reduced human interaction and decreased opportunity to gain experience. In the building, we propose people will choose what they want to do and will not interfere with each other's choices. People accept each other's action and new connections are formed in the town surrounding the bay. There are the diagrams of our proposal. The first is the closing of gaze. The gaze of people in different spaces is intersected by the changing in height. The second is awareness of others. Changing in the width of the street holds changes in the sense of distance between people and promote awareness of the movement of others. The last is the flow of people. The flow of people's movement is made unstoppable and smooth by the circular structures.
The newly planned buildings are as follows. The first is the installation of sidewalks of facility pedestrian movement. The second is the construction of facilities with tourism and community exchange function. The third is the installation of sidewalks connecting residential areas. The last is construction of a new station building. The effect of the newly planned buildings are as follows. Pedestrians can easily move between areas by installation of sidewalks. The facility will become a place where tourists and local residents can interact. Pedestrians can still move around even when it is hurried by the installation of sidewalks. Connection between north and south areas become possible by new station buildings. These pictures show an image of our buildings. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank
Thank you very much for the team.
終われますか？共有切れますか？基本停止。
Okay, show your screen. Thank you. I'll move to the last team of project 2 from Tongji University, Luo and Wang. So now Luo is assessing. Where's Wang? Wang. Okay.
I'll present our team to give the presentation.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Okay, let's start.
Today I'll talk about our site analysis of the project 2, and our team, we have Wang Haoyi and Luo Chaoxing. First is an introduction. As we know, Orbia is the principal submarine passenger port for connections with the Italian mainland, and the trade, vision, and cross-working are important. Also, this town is growing with the development of tourism on Sardinia's northeast coast. Let's take a topographic overview of the Orbia. It has two gulfs, and we are focusing on the inner gulf of Orbia. It has a 5 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide real type gulf, and with a max depth of 10 meters. And the hill and the coastal plain, the depth and the floodplain conditions make it sensitive to hydrological disruptions. Then we were focusing on the economic structural challenges. First, we can see the development challenges and structural weakness of Orbia. It has single industry and the seasonal dependence. The economy is highly dependent on service industries such as tourism, hotels, and catering. Second, the tourism industry has arrived exceeded 1 million in 2024, up 24% from 2023. And the prominent tourism hubs located in the external Gulf. And third, it has high cost and development imbalances. For example, like food and accommodation prices are higher than the national average accommodations. Accommodations prices increases by 20%. And fourth, and the urban regeneration projects are taking places in the south inner Gulf. The population inside in Orbia, we can see the total population, and the age composition is as follows. Third, we have some analysis of the ecological and environmental issues. About the green space areas in Orbia, we can see the greenness is 10.45 kilometers, and the network of the water is like this. We follow the wetland changes from 2000 to 2020. We can see the trends and changes over time. The habitat loss and the degradation has shown that the wetland has suffered from vegetation degradation, water population, striking ecological value due to negative and development pressures, and it also has some land use pressures. Thirdly, the urban expansion in Orbia has rapidly shrinking and creating the wetlands. Also, inside too, it has some flood hazard and landslide risk. In this site, it has the total population and the families in like these numbers, and we can see in this picture, it has a flood and landslide risk in this site. Finally, we come to the urban function and public service deficiencies. We can see in this picture the overall structure layout inside too is a radial pattern and the circle distribution along the bay. In this photo, we can see in this public area, the pedestrian streets area of Orbia has it has pedestrian streets and small squares, but there is
sufficient connections with public transportation hubs and main bus roads. Also, the coastal and the port areas lack continuous pedestrian or cycling walkways, which limits the continuity of space and public experience. We have a further look of the public transportation network. As we can see, it has insufficient public transportation network services and the weak connectivity with other cities and on the island. Also, it's heavily reliance on private cars and the rental or ride-sharing services. We have located all the bus stops inside too, and the bus stop buffer is about 500 meters, and we can see it only can cover only about 50% of the site of the area. And we can see in this picture, we emphasize the slow traffic system of Site 2. And as a public space, the traffic network is not systematic and the waterfront flow space is not perfect. You can see the roads are here, but they are not connected from the waterfront area to the main city. Then we're focusing on the health problems. We first noticed that the environmental population linked to health burden such as cancer has raised in these years, and the medical service facilities. We have located the point of interest of medical service facilities, and the access shows that although it covers most of the residents of Albia, but the accessibility to medical facilities is insufficient. Overall, we have a summary of our analysis from 4 aspects as SWOT. In the strengths, we can see this Site 2 is a natural deep water district port, and it had multi-layer tourism assets. Also, it transport state hub status. From the weakness aspects, we can see sparse public transport, fragmented public space, high load risk, and the model industry economy. About opportunities, the EU Green Transportation Funding can offer some opportunities to develop, and the tourism invested window and the digital normed policy. And about the stress, we can see the isolating climate change, economic ecosystem carrying capital branch, and the waste management pressure and the regional competition. Thank you for your listening, and we are looking forward to your valuable suggestions.
Thank you very much. You hurried a little bit to finish on time. Okay, I think I should ask professors to give them a comment as the same order as the first team. So we need to hear from you first, Professor Selin, if you watch the
Quick comment. So I can repeat something for the students. Good, very good analysis. And I agree with all colleagues who underline the idea to now, after this step, we can focus on the idea of the city. There are many ideas. Just a suggestion for the representation. Sometimes you have a very good concept or example, but with a very small picture, so it's difficult to better understand your. So we can prefer just to highlight some ideas with not just a slide with so many aspects. I know that Professor Kim gave us a limit of the slide, but sometimes to have small maps or picture or proposal in a small representation can't make clear your idea. So Palermo archipelago concept is an important concept also related to the palimpsest of Professor Gianfranco Sanna and Professor Renzo. And so to realize an archipelago in this area is our challenge. And so I totally agree with this idea, because you better underline with a grid how this side of the area can be highlighted with a different layer, different dimension. But I suggest also to consider the side part of the port in your grid. So please extend also in the port. Could be better for complete analysis and also vision of this site of Olbia. And for Vienna students, also it's a very clear idea to connect some parts, some utopias, but please, I'm an engineer, not an architect, so sometimes it's different, but I really appreciate your concept and ideas, and I suggest to think to Arsenale. You underline the Arsenale area, like a quite high area for houses, but remember that there are this is an important part for Olbia, and it's a good opportunity to connect with the south side of the Gulf. But remember that it is a military area. There are a very important building inside. So there were many ideas also from our school for Arsenale. So, and also your focus on materials is really important for the analysis of the project, and also the focus of the people of UITA University. This is an important focus when you speak about awareness, gaze, and also your utopia to build something in the sea. But this could be a future. Also trying to make a challenge between the land and the sea, and also to promote a jump of the barrier of this of the part of this this land in the south part of the Gulf. So it's good strategies, and also Tonju University, because highlighted the shrinking ecological value. This is the most important part, because we have the fish pound area. So this is a very strategic area, and I'm sure you can understand better when we have an analysis of the Gulf, because the Gulf, an ecological expert explained us that there are different Gulf inside, and the most vulnerable part is the fish pound, because the hydrological exchange, the water exchange is so is a lucky of a natural water exchange, movement of the water, and so. But the area is so important for to connect the two main center, like Sacra Familia and Polto Cuadu. So the groups better underline this point, speaking about working area, but it's not just working area, but also has, I think, Vienna or OITA University underline the public area that are so important to make a connection between services, residential area, and ecological places. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. I think project 2 is thanks to the diversity. It seems to be very interesting. When students try to improve substantial changes maybe it's not easy for them. So they are suffering process, I think. So if they study further, students will bring better ideas later on, I believe. Okay. Professor Riccarane, Lenzo, do you have a...
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Silvia, ti prego.
Great.
Ok, very. Allora, intanto mi pare evidente che quest'ambito 2 ha come caso di studio, come grande questione la presenza di una riserva, no? Quindi di un'area protetta. Quindi l'atteggiamento qui è molto più soft, molto più dolce. Quindi questo secondo me è evidente per tutti, è l'atteggiamento, e quello che viene fuori è quello diciamo, del grande rispetto della linea di costa e di tutto quello che c'è tra il mare e la terraferma. Mi fermo qua e poi vado avanti.
So he underlined that there is an issue, an important issue of this area is a preserved area. So we have to pay attention with our approach, and our approach could be more soft than the north part. And so we need to respect this the site, the interface between land and sea.
Due cose e poi ho chiuso. Secondo me, questo vale per tutti i gruppi, ma anche per Palermo. Io credo che questo progetto deve essere convincente, non soltanto per chi lo fa, ma anche per chi ascolta. Ricordiamoci che abbiamo un interlocutore che è la città di Olbia, il porto, l'università, e io credo che il progetto debba convincere non tanto nella forma quanto nei contenuti. E per convincere sui contenuti io credo che qui bisogna essere chiari. La presenza di un'area protetta è una potenzialità, non è una criticità, e quindi va dimostrato anche economicamente, socialmente, ambientalmente perché un'operazione simile va fatta in un certo modo, perché economicamente deve convenire, e questo lo dico dal punto di vista economico, cioè posti di lavoro, chi lavorerà lì, chi la gestisce, e quindi dal punto di vista sociale, per esempio, potrebbe essere un'indicazione quella di immaginare che ci possono essere delle associazioni ambientaliste che si possono occupare di questo. Chiaramente va detto, non è il nostro mestiere, però va detto che questo può attrarre, l'operazione architettonica urbana può costituire un centro gravitazionale di attrazione turistica residenziale, turistica esterna, ma soprattutto vorrei dire turistica animale, cioè noi dobbiamo attrarre gli animali e la fauna. E questo è uno dei benefici ambientali sul quale dobbiamo puntare, perché potremmo immaginare che l'università, la ricerca universitaria, marina, oppure ambientale, eccetera, possa costituire una sorta di piede a terra, senza andare a costruire nulla, ma piede a terra sulla sperimentazione in loco, e quindi la presenza di osservatori, la presenza anche di edifici per la nidificazione degli insetti e degli uccelli. Allora io credo che sia questo, diciamo, un esperimento che va fatto. Questo è il primo aspetto, poi il secondo sarà brevissimo.
Figuriamoci. Allora, I try. So the first issue. So the project has to be a convincing project. So we have to convince the municipality, also stakeholders who are working there that our project is, can I say, ecological project, because we are in a very preserved area. But he also underlined that our project has to be so has to be sustainable from the point of view of the economical issue, and can attract people who can work there thanks to this preserved area, and also people who can manage all our ideas that has to be realized. But an important issue that he underlined is that the project can be attract not just the humanity, but also animals. So we have to project something to attract animals, insects, but also birds, because this is on bracket, in my opinion. Here, there are many focus and issue that and challenge that the municipality is working on. But Renzo underlined that we have perhaps use architectural approach also to build some very small houses for the birds or a kind of animals. So this is an interesting point of view. And also he underlined what is happening now with our new Department of Innovation. A particularly focus would be for the sea laboratory, for the sea experimentation. So he suggests also to work in this area, thinking to a future laboratory to improve this approach. Second issue, very short.
Very short. Una questione delle infrastrutture è molto importante. Come si raggiunge questo luogo? Perché questo luogo si può raggiungere in automobile, in una infrastruttura ferroviaria, ciclabile e pedonale. Su questo bisogna ragionare, perché tutto dobbiamo pensare tranne che fare un'area parcheggio. Le persone che raggiungono quest'area la devono raggiungere quasi esclusivamente con mezzi pubblici o con mezzi dolci, lasciando da parte tutto l'aspetto, diciamo, pesante di una turistificazione che può stravolgere non soltanto nella presenza delle persone, ma nella presenza poi delle automobili, eccetera. Quindi su questo va pensato quali sono i punti di accesso, quali sono gli accessi dalla stazione, dal porto, saranno degli accessi balneari dalle imbarcazioni, e che imbarcazioni ci mettiamo, perché poi attenzione c'è il motondoso. Cioè dobbiamo pensare come portare queste persone, residenti e non, in questo luogo in maniera sostenibile e vorrei dire anche resiliente, ma non a parole, ma concretamente. Allora su questo secondo me va fatta una riflessione.
The second focus is on the accessibility of the area. So, because he suggests no parking area to go there, to visit the area, but we have to think to the different possibilities to make more accessible the area. And on bracket, Professor Machoko highlight an important issue on this because he explained that someone, an expert, told us that if you move in this area around, the animals, the birds can't pay attention to the human. But if you stop there, the birds go away. So it means that behavior of the animals to better understand this movement is also important for Renzo. So it's the same question. So how can we access to the area by the boat, by pedestrian walk? It means also pay attention to the design of this area, or perhaps we have to think to the public mobility and so on. This is an important question. So the focus is to preserve the area and to make attractable, more attractive the area for human and non-human. Thank you, Renzo, for your suggestion.
Grazie a te.
Thank you very much, Professor Caratini. And now Professor Sana is ready, I think. Okay. Professor Sana.
Gianfranco?
Silvia, sei
Okay.
pronta?
Piccola.
Ma allora, innanzitutto è un'area chiaramente fortemente antropizzata, dove elementi naturali e artificiali si fondono, creando una complessità, diciamo di non facilissima soluzione. Piccolino?
Sì. The area is very has been urbanized so much, and in this area coexist artificial element and also natural element.
Quindi va bene ragionare in termini di protezione, eccetera, però è anche importante capire che questo, per essere in un certo senso un luogo da da rispettare, non può essere solo visto come un parco per il tempo libero.
Gianfranco underlined that I agree with the idea to protect the area, to transform this area in a park, but also we have to think that we need more, not just the park.
Quindi sarebbe opportuno forse favorire o incoraggiare anche la dimensione produttiva, e mi riferisco in particolare a quella agricola, che in questi luoghi vanta una presenza, diciamo, di aziende, eccetera, anche di una certa consistenza. E penso che l'agricoltura sia operare, fare in modo che l'agricoltura torni ad operare in forma attiva in questo luogo sia un ottimo modo per preservare e per rapportarsi positivamente alla natura di questi luoghi.
So I suggest also to think to agricultural activities. Gianfranco is underline one particularly part of this site of the Gulf in which agricultural area and farms exist, and Renzo is underline the part with the fish pound. So there are so Gianfranco suggests to think not just to preserve but also to produce, to make more productive the area. Tu Gianfranco non hai sottolineato la pesca anche, no? Però forse
Sì.
so fishing activities but also agricultural activities.
Certo. E questo penso che sia il modo migliore per restituire come dire, una vita a questi luoghi, che non sia solo, diciamo, legata al modo contemporaneo di vedere, al nostro modo di vedere attualmente questi luoghi, che è legato solo così a come dire, a una ricerca di paesaggio è legato però a una componente esclusivamente estetica o comunque di godimento del tempo libero. I luoghi devono tornare a essere luoghi in un certo senso necessari alla vita dell'uomo e non solo al suo godimento dal punto di vista, diciamo, del tempo libero.
So a little bit different concept from Gianfranco Sanna. He underlined that we need to give life to this place. It means not just for human activities to gaze this area like an aesthetical area. Preserved, yes, but we don't have an approach to contemplate the area. But he underlined that it is necessary to live in this area, so also to produce. Ho molto sintetizzato.
Grazie, Silvia.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sana. We believe host professors are more concerned with the local demands, so we expect your opinion. And we have still 5 more minutes. If the tutors who wants to give some critique or opinion for the project 2, so you can really if you raise your hand, then I'll give the mic on you. Okay, Professor Itani, please.
Okay. Yes. It's not only to Site 2, but I totally agree with Professor Lawrence Kim of the Busan National University. It's a time for the analysis. Not much to make a proposal yet, because I think to understand that the site is very important, and without being on site in real, there are a lot of limitations. So I really appreciate students giving a lot of presentation, but I'm really curious how well they understand the site. For instance, the size, distances, capacities. So from one point to other point, how long it's gonna take by walk or by bicycle? Do you really understand? I don't myself. So I'm really excited to be on site in the next month. Um, Nowadays, we have a Google Map or Google Earth to try to simulate without being there. And I am doing that, measuring the distances from one side of the Bay Area to the no, not really historical, but the touristic centers. It's like 2 kilometers. So 2 kilometer is maybe if you walk fast, maybe take 20 minutes. But doing a 20 minutes walk every day is maybe hard. So public transportation, I understand you are showing, but only showing that the bus stop. So reality, how frequent the bus service is there, from what time to what time. So from the morning to the late evening, is that really accessible or not? So those kind of information you can maybe check through the online. But mostly what I like to see from everyone is to understand that the area or size, probably that the case studies. So if you are from Busan, maybe find that the very similar conditions, bay, water, some industrial, lot of residential, maybe find similar one and try to show as a case study, make a comparisons from Japanese group, maybe Fukuoka or some other small local cities, and Italian student, of course, they they might be already at the site, so you might know better. So that's kind of case studies and also the scale comparison. I like to see it from each group.
Thank you very much, Professor Itani.
Yeah.
So if okay, Himeno sensei.
Yes, thank you. So maybe I will do comment in different direction from other professors, so a little bit, because I think this area is a lot of information that needed to be understood. Not only to understand the characteristics, the identity of this area. But it's also the place or the site with many hints for design, I believe. So, and or for teams, maybe for teams students, they read the issue. They tried to read some issues of the target area from the land use, transportation, and topography. This is a very great thing, I believe. And I really sympathize with they tried to solve these issues or some problems. So each team focused on several places, and I feel that if these places were changed as the ideas, the value of the target area will be increased, I believe. So this kind of presentation is very important, I think. So so can I say so? The idea of the highlighting tidy or facts. Oh, sorry, too much. Facts.
It's not your fault.
And fluid area with landmarks such as the tower, the small huts, and the artificial ground or the deck. And and they tried to consulting with the connecting. Sorry, that they tried to connect to each elements and by deck, pedestrian deck. This is also very interesting. So I especially like especially the idea of the Wien team. They I think it was Wien team. Yeah, Wien team your ideas containing not only the ecosystem, but also they try to live with the water or by the water. This idea is so great, I think. So in other hand, not only the Wien team, but all students are the solution limited to landmark and pedestrian deck. So I think there is some more idea, and please correcting or the some searching. So what kind of sorry, had to mention about what kind of the not only the facility but the program. Program. So what kind of program is effective and to connect each landmark or the facility with the deck. I mean, not only the landmark or the facility, the deck is not so good. I think the connection part is very important. So, for example, the connect by the deck to connect the land. This part is very important, I think. So I don't know so hard to mention about in English. I'm so sorry, but this kind of thing. So try to think about it. And I thought it'll be make your ideas good and good. I think so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Himeno. So if other Nico. Okay.
Yeah, I just have a very quick comment because I've seen a lot of different approaches to this wetland area and bird watching and preserved area in the very natural south part. But since Professor Serelli and the Olbia team actually enlarged this site number 2 to the south of the harbor, I would really appreciate that for the next presentation, the students would also provide some interesting solutions for the south part of the Isola Bianca. Because for me, also from an economic and design point of view, it would be very interesting and a very fruitful and valuable part of this project to see actually a new quarter of the city. The first impression that tourists that embark from the ships have of the city of Olbia right now is this artificial peninsula full of asphalt, maybe very hot, very large distances. And if there are some new residential districts, restaurants, accommodations, maybe a park, I don't know what, I think this can change the image of Olbia for all the incoming guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kruger. Okay, thank you for your comment. I think I will move to the next now, to the third project. And later on, all the professors and tutors have a general comments on all the 3 teams, I think. Okay, thank you very much for your comment, and thank you for your presentation. Now we are about 8 minutes delayed. Let's move to the project 3. Project 3 is first team is a University Sasari. Team members, if you are ready, share your screen and start your Aurora.
Yes. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I'll share now. Okay. Do you see it?
Not yet. We cannot. Oh yeah, now we see. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. We are from the UNISS school, and we are going to present it for the 3rd zone. So, Olbia is a city surrounded by a lot of different natural elements that we call environmental generative structure. There are such as a granite hilly arc that surround the city from the land in the north part. while in the east part, we have a system of gulfs, the internal and the external one, they are the first and second, that surround the city from the sea. In particular, in the internal Gulf, this Gulf hosts the delta of the river Padronjanus, this one, and dominate the local hydrographic network. We concentrated in this part for the project, and we can see a scheme that show the natural arcs that surround the city. So the third zones focus on Padronjana River and its fluvial park. This park covers 33 hectares of green areas, which represent an important green lung for the city of Olbia, and is inserted into the Natura 2000 project, which is a network of sites of community interest and special protection areas created by the European Union for the protection and conservation of habitats and also wildlife, and is also inserted in the Contratto di Fiume river contract. There is a voluntary strategic planning tool for sustainable river and basin management. This area hosts a site that is rich in biodiversity for flora, like the Mediterranean crab and the Posidonia oceanica in the Gulfs, and wildlife like Adrian's gull, pilgrim auks, European sharks, and also very rarely some golden eagles. And then, of course, foxes, wild boars, and Sardinian hare. But also it has a high concentrate of marine wildlife, especially sea breams, groupers, and white sea breams. This place is as rich as it is fragile, especially due to the phenomenon of silting that is caused by the continuous accumulation of alluvial sediments that lead to the formation of a sandy pit in this area of the Gulf where the internal and the external connect, and is creating a sandy spit at the entrance of the Gulf, with the consequent risk of lagooning and losing of the biodiversity, especially the marine wildlife. This parks area, but this park in general, the yellow part, is exposed to a high hydrological danger and risk. This is the danger and this is the risk. They are basically the same, with the only difference being the possibility of an event for the danger, and the risk is the possibility of an event with the estimate of the danger that it creates in that area. So this part is exposed to a high hydrological danger due to the conformation of the basin and the torrential nature of the river, which is subject to flooding during intense weather events. It is important to remember what happened in November 2013 in Olbia, when the cyclone Cleopatra struck Olbia, causing severe flooding and the landslide that resulted in a lot of people losing their houses, activities, and in 13 deaths. So to mitigate this risk, there are some events. Several risk mitigation projects have been launched, such as the construction of a floodway. This is the blue is an idea of floodway that we can create. The floodway is a water drainage that reduces hazards in urban and peri-urban areas. The floodway function as a hydraulic diversion that allow the flood flows of river, especially all those rivers that are inside the city, to be reduced and diverting part of it. So the rivers that cross the city from the north part, so the industrial part, to the southern part, are touched by this floodway. There is reconfigured as a multifunctional green infrastructure resulting in an artificial external river. In addition to be an hydraulical project, the intervention also becomes an urban project, generating a radial reorganization of the city, especially of the suburb part of the city. They are highlighted in this card, and they look like they are trying to introduce themselves into the city, not also in the suburbs. And this floodway can bring in new awareness and services to that part of Olbia, allowing to integrate it better and have a better accessible city. So to conclude, this green infrastructure is not simply conceived as a defensive structure, but also as a structure that generates new living spaces. That's it. I close it. No.
Okay. There is a second presenter on your team. You're waiting?
No,
Okay.
no, it's this. It's just this.
Okay. Okay, so the third team is about, okay, second team is Nakasuji Oike Ito from Kyushu University. Okay, team is ready, then share your screen. And...
Sorry, just oh my god. Sorry, just a minute, please.
Okay.
これでも、ちょっと、こっちで、なんかこっちでこう。Okay.
Okay, we see all three of you now. Take care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, sorry. Sorry. This is a team members. We are from Kyushu University. Today we would like to present our analysis of Site 3. We found that Site 3 is an area rich in nature. It's likely that many tourists spend their time outdoors, for example, on the beaches. Therefore, let's take a look at the outdoor weather conditions. To begin, we will examine the temperature data for Olivia. The chart illustrates the annual temperature pattern. As you can see, the daytime periods during the summer are extremely hot. We will visualize outdoor comfort by using a UTCI heat map. Under full sun and wind conditions, significant heat stress make it difficult to stay comfortable throughout the summer. However, when we provide shade to block solar radiation, the period of comfortable conditions expands considerably. This shows how important it is to create shade. Next, let's look at the wind direction. Here is the wind route diagram. As you can see, the predominant wind throughout the year comes from the west. In the afternoons, there are also winds from the east. Therefore, it's crucial that the design responds to this prevailing westerly wind. On the other hand, nature can also be sweet. As we mentioned in the lecture, a unique characteristic of the area is flooding. The data shows both riverine flood hazard and coastal flood hazard zones. This means we need to consider how to coexist with water.
Next, about transportation. Regarding the subject site, I have plotted facilities such as the airport, bus stops, stations, and public facilities. A notable characteristic is the airport's nearby locations and the presence of well-maintained bus stops. While residents and locals are expected to primarily use cars for transportation, it seems that there are limited transportation options for tourists despite the airport. Additionally, small boat docks were observed, but no large ones.
Our proposal is architecture that doesn't resist flood, but rather allows them to flow through. For example, we consider the cases where the building floods and its height changes with the water level, or where part of the building is washed away without resistance. We will now introduce these cases.
The Shimose Museum was designed by architect Shigeru Ban, a unique The Shimose Museum was designed by architect Shigeru Ban. A unique feature is its movable exhibition rooms that float on a pool of water, allowing the exhibition space to be reconfigured by changing the water level and using buoyancy. This is movable mechanism. When the river floats, these girders actually float like rafts on the water. This smart trick lets them push the water's force aside, stopping the whole bridge from falling apart. The important thing is that these floating girders are tied to the bridge's support with strong wire rope. So after the float, workers just pull the ropes to guide the girders back onto the supports. This makes fixing the bridge much faster.
The specific candidate site is located in a coastal area. Finally, we have a few questions. We couldn't find much information, so we would like to know the boundary of the park ground. We also would like to know how much the tide rises and falls, and whether the water level changes only during floods. How often do people travel by boat on the Pelongians River? Do they also travel by boat on the lagoon? That's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Christine. So today we have a last presentation from Busan National University. 정현, 정주현 and 강.
정현주.
Yeah, 정현주 and 정현주 and 강승구. Okay. If you're ready, Chang, then start your presentation.
Yes. Hi, I'm Hyunju Jung, and Seunghyeon and I were a team from PNU on Site 3. Olbia is a historic city on the northeastern coast of Sardinia, an island in the Mediterranean Sea, west of mainland Italy. The diagram on the left shows the main travel route of tourists visiting Sardinia, and most travelers pass through Olbia. The graph shows Olbia's tourism trends over the past 6 years. Dark gray line shows visitor numbers, which fell in 2020 due to COVID, but surpassed pre-pandemic levels by 2024. The other line shows average stay duration, which has also gradually rebounded. Tourism play a vital role in Olbia's economy as shown in the graph, where tourism represents a significant proportion. We also referred to social media data. Out of around 81 Instagram posts tagged with Visit Olbia, nearly 47% included contents related to the sea. This highlights how tourists perceive Olbia's sea as one of its most attractive features. While Olbia is well known for its beautiful sea, the city also boasts a wide range of nature, culture, historical, and architectural assets. Our site is located in the southeastern part of Olbia, and unlike other sites, it is largely composed of natural landscape. There is the SS-105 highway that cuts through the site and several nearby residential clusters. Most notably, the Rio Pedregianos River and its surrounding delta form a prominent water-based environment. The site also borders both the inner and outer side of the Gulf and is close to the airport and ferry port. We analyzed the site by categorizing its element into town and topography, roads, coastline, waterways, and risks. There are three main residential clusters near the site: Lido del Sole, Le Vecchie Saline, and Murta Maria. We aim to incorporate local features such as the formal salt flats and the traditional fishing village into our proposals. The SS-105 road that crosses the site currently offers a rather monotonous landscape. However, if utilized as a scenic axis or reorganized to connect key points of interest, it could offer visitors a more engaging and immersive spatial experience. The coastal area offers open view of the sea and supports various activities such as yachting, birdwatching, and kitesurfing. As the number of visitors continues to grow, these existing resources provide a foundation for expanding programs and support the development of sustainable tourism infrastructures. The following sketch shows the site's ecological conditions, including the Pedregianos River, its delta, restricted development zone marked in red, special bird protection areas in yellow, and areas of shrubland. Simulation data suggests that flood risk may impact the river and delta areas within the next 50 to 100 years. Currently, the site supports a range of recreational activities such as hiking, Nordic walking, canoeing, and archery.
So from analysis and the request from the kickoff, we set three objectives which would work as the key factors in our overall design. The first is to coexist with the nature with its river, delta, paddy fields, and coastlines in this case. And second, we intend to set mutual grounds for tourists and locals, meaning that we are to provide programs that tourists and locals could both use and socially mix. Tourists enjoying newly built accommodations, the local programs, and so on, while the local residents could get much more jobs, boost up these economic sectors. And lastly, we're planning to use the languages rooted from Olbia, which could be an act of finding the potentials for Olbia's contemporary architecture. That is what we like to call it. But in addition, we hope these languages could spark curiosity to the tourists mainly and the local residents too, and persuade them to get a deeper dive into Olbia and maybe stay a few days longer. Then we studied a few cases that have strategies for covering a large area. And this idea came from the lecture from Professor Aitani as catalyst. And one of his cases is actually in part of it. These four images, maybe some could look stunning by its own forms, but actually it was, again, to see how they managed to use the large areas. The biggest one, Taiyuan, is located in a mountain called Palgongsan, and it is kind of a hiking route, and you encounter pavilions every 8 to 10 minutes, and you get to have tiny rests in there. And Tashima Island also has programs related to architecture and local factories and so on. But they were using buses since the island is a bit large. And for the Kistefos, actually mostly known for the Twisted Bridge made by Bjerkingles Group, has over 40 art installations along a path that is almost 1.5 kilometers long, and the last Chicago waterfront is a bit linear, but all these individual programs differ from each other, making the waterfront walkable. For our sites, we thought we could use some pedestrian paths and bikes since it's a bit larger than the references. And we thought we should also put the acupuncturists, as Professor Aitani said, but we were thinking of using languages of Albia, as I previously mentioned in the objectives page. And there were some distribution studies considering the analysis with it and the objectives we set, but we concluded that it's rather functional than persuasive. And we found these stunning images from Olbia. These are Olbia's aquaforms. If you take a quick look at it, you can see there are many different forms than we thought. Forms would follow function, but the forms could also tell these stories underlying beneath these forms. Then the old saying, form follows function, could turn into form follows stories or fiction. With these thoughts in mind, we immediately did a sketch and turned it into a collage. It was kind of a moment where the morphology is oriented from the obvious vernacular design strategies, where forms are gently melted into obvious green fabric. For today, we concluded into two layout alternatives. Following the forms of aquaforms, the geometry scattered in the sea are now scattered in the obvious lower land. All these separate parts contain different narratives. For instance, the circle is about river, and the delta, the triangle, about the beaches, and the rectangle is focusing on the lagoon. And with the geometric corridors, the programs are placed along them. The programs requested from the previous PDFs. And the final out also has a similar gesture, but quite different, because for this one, the corridors cover 2 places at once, and also they are linked in points, but the previous one is connected by the programs. We internally agreed to focus on the last alt and are planning to develop the details and tweak more till Thursday. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the team. Thank you. So the two presentation today and Wednesday is the purpose of 2 times we do is to give students confidence on their idea, so that they can develop their idea for 1 month long and come to Olbia final development at the on-site. So let's communicate it with more comment from the professors. Then we'll have a check your ideas. You can keep working on or not. So, and the same, I will ask Professor Sylvia Sarelli to give it. Oh, 1 moment. Okay, I cannot hear you. You have a little connection problem. Then, okay. From the, if a host side is busy, then I'll ask tutors who has comment on the third project 3. Then Professor, I asked Professor Malade, do you have something? Please help me.
Yes, we saw 2 totally different approaches, both in a very big scale, but somehow also focused on very important details. This set of sections and particularly pieces of form, so preventing the floodings and all these things are extremely important, and I think it's very educational for all of students and all of actually us making this workshop to learn how to prevent, how to link, how to transform the let's say, so some kind of natural flows which are affecting our daily life in terms of wind, water, streamings, and so on and so on. And the second one is it seems to be a very big one, but I would say it's a really matter of time. Also, I think this somehow element of time could be some included in many of these projects. So if you want to analyze what's possible to achieve inside, let's say 1 hour or 2 hours, it's about distances, it's about also this grid we saw in the very first image of the Palermo group as well, as how far away is these things. So if you are thinking about, let's say, spending a day or two, so in approaching all these things, then I think it's somehow legitimate to think even in a bigger scale, like the very last group did in these things. I don't know if it's necessary to squeeze it into the sort of geometrical elements to be more kind of things, but in order to make them visible, why not? So it could be kind of a, let's say, imaginary circle of something. But I think it's nice that we have today really from very small core up to the bigger scale elements. We saw all kind of scales through, also in these presentations. And yeah, I think this. I think one of the probably aims of this session is also to share. So I think this is very interesting that the students who work in a small scale somehow take care about bigger scale, and they had I mean, students provide a lot of materials who could be shared among students, so every of them can somehow think about his project in a bigger scale or vice versa. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes,
I
Professor, thank you for
resolved.
it. Okay, sorry, Professor Ali.
No, sorry, I had problem, but now it's okay. Yes, Jadek is, this is our challenge is to consider the small and the bigger scale house, because if we really want to contribute to a city of Gulf, we need also to pay attention to big scale, because the delta is growing, is creating a new environmental also inside the Gulf and in external part of the Gulf. So our students, UNISS students, highlight a big project that the municipality of Olbia is working on. And it means to transform this city also in a Gulf city, but also in a river city. This is an important strategic plan. And but the plan has to highlight also an action plan. Action plan, it means to reduce the skill to work in the area that students from Busan highlight. So the Lido del Sole area or the Baia Turquesa area, the settlement are there. We needed to work in a very light way, as Professor Renzo highlight, in a very light way, because we are in a big delta. And the students from Kishu ask how big is this park? Is not, they don't have the limit now, because they are working on. And it's good also to suggest that some part has to be included or not. And if you remember, Professor Gianfranco Sanna highlighted the idea that the area has to be productive area. And here in the Delta, we have a lot of agriculture area. We have the big hospital that some students highlight in the second area, for example, is a big, so they need to perhaps also to pay attention to this city center, a regional center. So it means to have a lot of question by the other part of Sardinia for residential area, temporary residential area. Lido del Sole was the first touristic village in Olbia and in Sardinia too, in the area. So there are many area that has to be reused, rehabilitated, and also the question that the students highlight of accessibility in a delta region. It means soft accessibility. So for sure, for 5 days in Olbia, and also this week for students, not means not to be think to the whole aspect of this big question of the basin, hydraulic basin, but for sure we have to pay attention to the relationship, territorial relationship, but also the question that Kyushu students highlight, so the problem of the tides, of the length, for example, and I suggest to connect with my colleague Andrea Carboni to make question. I send to Professor Aitani the email of my colleagues so the students can highlight this aspect. So big scale, this is the focus, but in the same time, small project to preserve the evolution of this delta region.
Okay, thank you very much, professors. And from the host side, can I ask Lenzo first, then Cardani?
Sì, qua davvero sarò breve, Silvia. La terza area è davvero molto complessa. È complessa per la sua bellezza, estensione, per tutte le questioni che sono emerse, no, di diciamo, luoghi antropizzati, ma anche e soprattutto luoghi naturali. Io credo che una riflessione va fatta su, no, un po' citando il testo di Bruno Latour, uscito nel 24, come abitare la Terra. Il tema è questo, cioè come l'abitiamo la Terra? Siamo sicuri che ci dobbiamo mettere i piedi sempre dappertutto? E forse sul delta, ecco, se vogliamo, cioè, mi piace molto pensare che il delta sia non tanto uno spazio di fruizione, ma uno spazio proprio di distanza fra l'uomo e la terra, no? La terraferma, o la terra, o le marécage, direbbero i francesi, la palude, no? Quindi diciamo una sorta di, no, un po' di area di rispetto, quelle che ci sono un po' nei parchi, nei parchi orientati, cioè quelli che dicono qui si entra, forse qui anche non si entra, o si entra solo per una manutenzione. Il resto, certo, tu dici golf, il luogo turistico per eccellenza. Ecco, forse qui bisogna capire come intervenire, se intervenire a una grande scala dando degli orientamenti, delle strategie, oppure come dice Yadrik, forse scegliersi anche una parte nel quale appunto tu puoi intervenire facendo un progetto molto mirato. Ecco, su questo io credo che poi i gruppi è giusto che abbiano un orientamento, un indirizzo, diciamo, abbastanza, diciamo, aperto, anche perché il confronto vale per questo. Però, secondo me, proprio il terzo luogo, ecco, il terzo luogo, il terzo habitat deve essere molto concentrato sul rispetto che, ripeto, non appartiene a noi. Ecco, l'uomo qui deve fare un passo indietro, fermo restando che c'è tutto il tema della manutenzione che va pensato, e quindi attenzione a lasciare in abbandono. Ecco, vorrei che non fossi frainteso, non è l'abbandono, ma occuparsi come se fosse, come si dice, un bene prezioso, come un'area archeologica sulle quali però ci vanno solo gli archeologi. Grazie.
Not too short, not too short. So Professor Renzo highlight the area has the more complex area of the Gulf, and he highlight also a book of Professor of Latour, Bruno Latour, How Can We Live in the Land, in our planet, and so he point out that the delta is the space in which perhaps we can't do anything. And the place in which the accessibility is not the first idea or the first strategies, but in the same time, we have to take care of the places that are historical places. And so he suggests to be like an archaeologist, in which we can take care of these small villages, settlement, and we can work with them. And but we have to preserve the area like a very very particularly preserved area. And so he suggests not to abandon the settlement, but to work in a very, very specific and light way. So remember that we have different settlement like Murta Maria, Lido del Sole, and as Gianfranco highlight, also the agriculture area. And remember that also Professor Maciocco says something about the strategies for this area. So I agree with you that this is the more complex area, but in the same time, many challenge for the future of the Delta Park.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Cardone. Maybe Professor Sana has also comment.
Silvia, è un luogo ricchissimo di, diciamo, come si dice, di vita, dal punto di vista, è un po' alieno all'uomo, nel senso che nella tradizione, diciamo, urbana o comunque insediativa di Olbia, non esiste questo rapporto con le aree umide. Cioè le aree umide non sono abitate dall'uomo, se non per la caccia, eccetera, no? Ma invece sono i luoghi ricchissimi di biodiversità e quindi per certi in questo senso alieni alla vita dell'uomo, all'abitare dell'uomo, ecco, più che alla vita. E quindi come tali, sì, sono d'accordo, vanno rispettati e lasciati, perché sono luoghi pienissimi di vita, ma non necessariamente quella dell'umano, ecco, prima cosa.
Also, Professor Sana highlight that the place is very rich of life, but non-human life especially. And we in Sardinia, we don't have many. So we live in around the wetlands, a place like this, but we need to make a distance, perhaps, to make a distance to this area to preserve the biodiversity.
Mentre invece si potrebbe lavorare, e forse anche molto, diciamo, in maniera molto importante, sui luoghi che l'uomo ha insediato e che hanno in un certo senso mostrato una forte disattenzione rispetto alla natura di questi luoghi.
But he suggests that architects, we can work in this place where the settlement were located, and so we need to promote a different approach because in the past we don't take care about the ecological dynamics. So we put the settlement, touristic settlement, very, very close to the wetlands.
Ok, grazie.
Thank you very much, Professor Sana. Okay, from the guest university, I think I should ask Professor Lorenskin to first have a...
Okay. Just a quick comment on two things. For the most part, I think students are still kind of looking at this two-dimensionally. So I suggest that look at it three-dimensionally. And I think most of the students were not able to fully grasp the size, distance, and scale of things. I think when you're looking at a city map at such a large scale, and I assume most of them are architecture students, it gets difficult when you zoom out and look at things. And it's critical that you fully grasp the size and distance and scales of things. Scale, I talked about it earlier. Two things I want to talk about. One is the distance, which is Professor Aitani talked about. The second thing is the notion of boundary. The three slides are interesting in that the project number one slide is when you look at the land division between the land and the ocean. The project one side is mostly hard edge. It's a built-up area. Project two, it's a mixture of hard edge, densely built urban area, and nature. Project three is mostly nature. But typically when we look at a waterfront project, we take it for granted that there's a clear division between land and the water, right? You could take it as that, but you could also start to question that. And that maybe perhaps that's where the opportunity comes. Second thing, Professor Aitan talked about distance. Distance is very, very important because distance also means time, right? When you're walking around or wandering around densely built urban environment where there's shops, houses, and other things, walking 15 minutes in that environment is going to feel different than walking 15 minutes wandering around in a nature area. Your sense of time, you may feel like you're walking 15 minutes in the same area, but walking 15 minutes in a densely built urban environment, it may feel like 10 minutes has passed by, whereas walking in the nature area may have a different feeling. So, I think the key word I want to kind of throw to the students is the notion of distance and boundary, and among many other things. I think about that. And lastly, I would like the students to do more studies, analysis before jumping to the gun, so to speak, and proposing a solution. So hopefully they'll do a lot more work, and we'll see you again on Thursday. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Skim. Maybe Professor Aitani, you have a final comment for the project 3?
Yes. So by Thursday, what student is going to develop?
By Tuesday. That's actually I will ask Professor Sorelli for the last.
Okay.
Okay.
That's I'm very curious because
Yes. For sure, some students who concentrated analysis, they will show a more idea on visual, and who did some idea development and suggestion, they will collect some supporting data. I think it will be balanced on Wednesday, but however, we need some direction to develop. We should give them some direction. So I will ask Director Professor Sarelli later on.
Yeah.
For idea.
Okay, I'm sure that UNISS students in this area try to make clear the connection between the territorial strategies, because the river, the Padrongiano River, is like we say could be the role of ecosystem services. So the river help the human to preserve the city to the flooding area. So the artificial river that the students Aurora highlight, in the in the circle very close to the settlement, it means to block this floating area and to put the water in the river of Padrongiano, into the river of Padrongiano. This is an important issue that the municipality is working on. So the idea is to work on this. And so what happened when the river, artificial river, and the natural river is being connected, and what happens when the water, more water than now, can arrive to the delta. So around the delta, arriving to the confluences and the delta, there are many activities. There are farms, there are villages, there are infrastructure. So after this strategic plan, also UNISS students try to work on a different scale. So trying to represent the human activities in the Delta Padrongiano. The idea is not to build new facilities, services, but to work on as Professor Gianfranco highlighted and Professor Maciocco, to work on the building that we have, preserving, but also reusing and promoting an idea to be in the river, and in the delta in a very soft, with a very soft approach. But remember that we have Lido del Sole. There are many buildings that has been reused. There is the accessibility, and the other strategic area is Murta Maria village, a small village. This is a residential area and also mixed touristic function. And here we can work in the interface, I don't know in English, sorry, interstizi, che mi aiuta? Interstizi is in the third space between nature and urban area. So we don't have to pay attention not just in ecological field, because this is not our approach, but the approach is to transform, to modify what exists in a very ecological, with an ecological approach. So working in the settlement area, promoting a different accessibility, staying close to the wetland in a different way, with a different activities, could be an important project that can reduce the territorial scale in a very in an urban project, and this is so important for the city.
Do students need to think about the relation between Site 1, Site 2, Site 3, or they can be independent each other?
What is Site 1? What do you think? I don't know. What is Site 1 for you? Project 1, Project 2?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Project 1,
Okay.
Project 2, Project 3.
We discussed with Professor Maciocco too about this. If you agree, we have the city of the Gulf, the city Olbia. Stop. I can't answer you. No, the idea is to work like a big group, but with a general idea of the Gulf. And we will work in Olbia in an open space all together. But sure, all the groups has the area, and they pay attention to that area, but don't forget to be a part of the Gulf. So we can work in parallel with the other colleague, the tutor, and to promote the possibility to collect all the project in one images for the municipality. I don't know if Professor Chung agree, but
No. I think that's a good idea. So yeah, Project 1, Project 2 should have some kind of relation or common theme.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm sure that this presentation of all students can help them, and they can also connect in these days before 31st. So they can connect if you want to ask to UNISS students or to professors, UNISS professor, some details, some question, thanks to the mediation of Professor Kim. We are ready to help you.
Okay. So we have 3 more days to develop for the second evaluation, second presentation. We will have a presentation 2 on Thursday. So Professor Selin already mentioned a lot about what to do to the next step on 3 days, and students who must be stimulated by the professor's comment and other team's proposals. So I'm sorry for uh, disturbing your lunch hour and dinner hour in Asia, but because but we have to the time arrangements to seem to be very short for the presenter and commenter both sides, but we have to keep the both sides of time. So I think we will do the same time arrangement on Thursday. And if anyone has a short comment or some question now, Professor Ime is fine. Okay.
Sorry, Professor Chung, I have to tell you that in the first 31st, I will be in Olbia with all professor of the new department. So I'm online, but I don't know if I can do every comment. So I will ask to my colleague to translate Professor San and Professor Le Cardane, because I will be with my rector there. And so preparing also our place to welcome you in September. I'm really sorry, but I will be online.
Yes. Actually, the Cristiana or the Professor Lenzo said Cristiana will help to translate also later on. So okay. So now we have a lunch and dinner time. So I should finish it today. So see you on Thursday on same time. Thank you very much for students and comment for professor. Thank you very much. And this.
Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao Silvia. Ciao Chung.
Ciao Renzo. Ciao.